Awesome. This is going to be great. Thanks for joining. My name is Brandon Pony. This is welcome to the Valuable Mind podcast with Richard Brock today as our guest. We're excited to have him on. Currently, this podcast is for real world business owners that are actively in the trenches right now. They didn't do it once, they're actively doing it right now. And Richard's got a very unique story. He's going to bring some value today. We're excited to have you on, Richard.
Brandon, thanks a lot for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to obviously I want you to tell your story, your background, but very interesting, starting, you're Southern, from the South
Yep.
and know what hard work looks like. Been in the legal world, know people, transition to recruiting. That's going to be very interesting to talk about. And a twist on it with your business. And you've seen a lot. So you've seen so much you wrote a book.
Yeah, I have. Well, you were right. So I'm definitely a Southern boy, born and raised in Alabama. And I kind of started off, I did the hometown lawyer thing. I figured that's what I always wanted to do. And everything went according to plan until after I've been practicing law for 2 or 3 years. And I realized that that is not what I wanted to do. That always been a little more entrepreneurial, maybe even something that was a little more sales oriented. Basically, my take on it was, I want to get paid if I win. If I succeed, I want to get paid. And if I don't, I don't. And I wanted a monetary system like that, and I had an opportunity to get into the legal recruiting business, but essentially recruiting and placing lawyers. And so I got into it. It was kind of a leap of faith to go from practicing law to doing recruiting, which I had never done before. And at the time, my daughter was 1, and my wife, of course, thought I'd completely lost my mind. But I did it anyway. I took the leap, and it was, it has certainly been the right move for me. It's really been. I like the recruiting business. I like
Mm.
working deals. I like making placements. I like closing. I really like almost everything about it, and I've been doing it for a long time. I did it for the company that hired me. I worked for them for a few years. Then I started my own company, a company called American Legal Search in the 2000s. We had it for 10 or 11 years, ended up selling it or selling most of it to a private equity firm. Then I had to sit out for a little while, non-compete and all that. And then I started my current company, OnBoard Legal. I started it almost exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
congratulations again on the 10-year anniversary coming up.
yeah, thank you. It's gone by fast. It really has. And really, what we do, we are essentially an executive search firm for attorneys. Law firms, corporate legal departments, they hire us to find specific types of lawyers that they want. These are usually pretty high end lawyers. Hey, we need a healthcare lawyer with you know an $800,000 book of business or whatever. We need a commercial real estate lawyer with a $1.5 million book of business. We need a general counsel for our company. Those are the kinds of projects we do. We work on law firm mergers, which are a lot of fun. Because they're bigger deals. You're merging, dozens, if not hundreds of lawyers between two different firms together. And so
Mm.
it's complicated, and of course your batting percentage tends to go lower the bigger the deals are that you're working on, but when they hit, they're really fun. Uh so that's OnBoard Legal. That's what we do.
I love it. I love that. And it's become, more of it's become fun is what it seems like. It's become kind of a game or a fun challenge is for you. What'd you say?
Yeah. Well, and it really always has been, right? I mean, now, of course, not every day is fun, like anything else. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
nothing, it's kind of like, I mean, being a Southern boy, I can make a football analogy out of almost anything, right? It's like, when you're on the 2 yard line, and you give it to your fullback, there's a throwback position for you. You give it to your fullback and he pounds it in and he crosses the goal line and you score a touchdown. That's fun. That's like closing a deal. On the other hand, when you've got a big deal or any size deal really that's very close, and then you fumble and you're on the 2 yard line and you fumble on the 1 yard line, and the other team recovers and you've lost the deal, that's a kick in the gut. I mean it hurts. So that's not fun, of course.
Right.
But overall, the good parts of the business outweigh the bad parts. There's more fun than there is, you know, kicks in the gut.
Exactly.
So yeah, but it's
Exactly
probably
right.
like candidly, recruiting is sales, and it's probably like that in almost any sales position and any
Mm,
sales organization, right? I mean, the wins wouldn't be so much fun if the losses weren't so painful.
exactly right. The risk reward, and yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta be able to take those hits and get back up,
yeah,
keep going.
that's right. It hasn't made them any less painful. I guess maybe I'm just a little more used to them now, if nothing else.
Right. Yeah. A little more thick skin.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
You're
right.
used to it coming. It's just you've seen
That,
it. Yeah. It's interesting. You've seen so many seasons. You've been in the industry for over 20 years.
yeah.
What was it about, or how did it kind of transition to like recruiting side? Like, kind of where did that, because going from law to then now hiring lawyers, obviously you've been in
Yeah.
the game. How did that
Yeah.
happen?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, for one, like I said, I mean, I've always kind of been attracted to sales and entrepreneurial ventures. I've always had some of that in me. Now, I was not the kid who was, running a business in eighth grade and that kind of thing. I mean, it would have been kind of cool if I was, but I wasn't. But I have always been attracted to business and to sales. So I do think that was part of it. And then the other part of it for me really was, like I said, I decided after I've been practicing for about 2 years that just like, this really is not what I need to be doing for the next 40 years. I was with a good firm with good people. They treated me well. So it wasn't any of that. It wasn't my environment. I just, the work just wasn't a great fit for me. But then that begs the question, okay, well, after, you know, 3 years of law school and 2 or 3 years of practicing law, what are you going to do? So in an ideal world, I was looking for something that was more entrepreneurial, that was more sales oriented, but that in which I could also utilize my legal background. And that was how I ended up getting into legal recruiting because I candidly, I found a company that did it. And the industry was relatively new back then.
Mm.
I mean, it wasn't new, but it wasn't nearly as widespread as it is now. And I found this company, and I basically sort of harassed them until they hired me. Is essentially what happened, and that's how I got into the business.
Well, many of the greats have done that. You got to keep,
That's
yeah, you have to keep, it's the 50th, 175th, no, and then it was a yes.
That's right. That's right. And of course, I didn't know any of this at the time, but since then I've learned that I think statistically, it's the vast majority of sales are made after the seventh, the seventh touch point, all that kind of thing. I was actually utilizing that at the time and I didn't even know it. I was just being persistent. So
It's in you. It's in you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's, and I've learned that too about sales. It is definitely, you can have all the aptitude for it in the world, but if you don't really want it, it's not going to work. I mean,
Hmm.
and some people really want it. Some people really want to sell. They really want to work deals. They really want to close deals,
Hmm.
and some people just don't. And it's
Yeah.
just some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I love people. Yeah. Myself being I've been in the recruiting space now about 9 years, and you just love people, love the growth. Doesn't always work out for everybody. Doesn't always, it's not always a fit. And, sometimes you take that personal, but,
Yeah,
looking back though, like it's the ones that came back that, thanked you. And there's a lot of reward in there, with the ups and
no
the downs.
No, no, no question. Well, that is, I mean, there's a lot of things I like about recruiting, but one of them, a big one that you just touched on is, these are people's careers that we're working with. I mean, outside of, you know, family and religion for a lot of people, I mean, their career is real high on their priority list. So, when you are helping someone further their career, that's a big thing. That's a really big thing. And recruiters are genuinely helping people. I mean,
Hmm.
they're helping their clients get talent that they have to need for their careers, for their entities, their companies. And, of course, the individuals that you place, you are helping them with a significant career move. So that's something that I think everybody in the recruiting industry, no matter what sector they're in, needs to keep that, kind of in the back of their mind or the front of their mind, because it's important. I mean, the work we do is really important.
Yeah, their livelihood. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. And it's funny because you've had 20 plus years of experience. You can say that in like a sentence, and real quick, but there's so many stories. There's so much you've seen, so much good, bad, and the ugly. And obviously, it drove you to write a book, win the talent
Yes.
game.
Yeah.
So tell us about the book. Tell us kind of how that started and all your
Well, and thank you for asking it. I appreciate that. Yeah, the book is called Win the Talent Game. It's been out for just a little bit over a year. It did hit the Amazon bestseller list, so I was real happy with that. I really wrote the book for a couple of reasons. I mean, one is just candidly, it was a lifelong goal. I always wanted to write a book. I just did. I just wanted to write a book. So, it hit me about 5 years ago. I was like, well, if you're gonna write it, you need to go ahead and get moving on it. So so that was a part of it. But the other part of it was having been in this business for a long time. I did feel like I had some valuable information to share. And hopefully I have done that with the book. And I wrote the book for two audiences. I wrote it for, hiring entities, companies, and primarily law firms in my world, but it's really any employer that is hiring because the principles are the same. And
Mhm.
then also for individuals who are exploring other career opportunities. And again, the world that I am primarily living in, the industry I'm primarily living in is the legal industry, but the principles really apply universally.
Right.
So that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to hopefully help any company, any organization that is hiring do it a little bit better, understand what they're looking for, what the job seeker's looking for, what they have to offer, kind of pitfalls to avoid. And then I also wrote it for the individuals who are considering, hey, maybe I need to see what else is out there. Maybe I need to consider making some kind of a job change, some kind of a career move. And then I tried to identify what could be motivating them, what they need to keep in mind, the pitfalls that they need to avoid. That is a decent section of the book is based purely on or is about, hey, these are the pitfalls to avoid. It's like 17, 18 kind of danger areas, both for the hiring organization as well as for the job seeker. You know, keep these things in mind because they can trip you up if you don't.
Exactly right. Wow. That makes sense. Amazing. You've had, you had a lot of wins and a lot of losses.
Sure.
And thinking back, and obviously you've highlighted those, which is really, really cool. What are some of like, you've had multiple businesses. Most businesses fail in the first 5 years. They're done, they don't make it. 99% of businesses don't make it. You've had multiple businesses that have made it. Your business is now 10-year anniversary. That's a big feat. And obviously there were some challenges there. What are some challenges your business kind of focusing on now?
Oh, sure. Well, one thing I think is realizing that challenges never go away. Right. I mean, at least in my experience, it's when you think you've done it, you think you've made it, and you can just kick your feet back and just coast. That's when you are really heading down a dangerous path. So I think that is a part of it. Yeah, I think anytime you're running a business, you have the challenges that entrepreneurs are going to all be very familiar with, right? I mean, first and foremost, you always have to be mindful of your cash situation, always, because that is, early on, and I guess this is a cliche, but I've just always remembered it early on when I became an entrepreneur and started my first company. Some wise person told me, or I read, they're like, cash is oxygen. if when you're running a business, if yeah,
Yes.
if you don't have it, then really nothing else matters. So to me, that is 101 of business. And of course, in order to do that, in order to have cash, you have to really focus on revenue. I mean, I know that seems obvious, but there are some entrepreneurs that don't. They focus more on marketing, or they focus more on process, all of which is super, super important, right? I mean, but if you don't have revenue coming in the door, then again, nothing else really matters. Um, so those, I mean, those are just some of the things that I kind of always try to keep in mind. Um, and then beyond that, there are certainly some challenges. Well, there's some challenges that have always been there, right? Cash, revenue, building and retaining a good team. Those are all building, acquiring and keeping good clients. All, making sure that your systems, your financials, all your marketing operations, all of those are in line. Those are almost kind of timeless business challenges. And then I think every era has its newer challenges. Today, of course, the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenges that everyone is talking about, and still think really trying to figure out, is AI, right? Everybody's trying to figure out, okay, how is AI going to affect me? How's it going to affect my job? How's it going to affect my business? Because it's not going anywhere.
No.
I mean, it's here to stay, and it's only getting better, and it is only getting smarter. So, how do we? I mean, one, you can't be scared of it. I mean, it is kind of scary, but I mean, like it's here. So, I mean, I think it's time better spent is, okay, how can I try to harness it? How can I try to utilize its power? How can we use it to our advantage rather than spending any time being scared of it? Because being scared of it doesn't, it's like worry. I mean, worrying doesn't do you any good. I mean, I know that's easier said than done, but it really doesn't. I mean, it's a complete waste of time. And so we try to take that approach with AI. Let's not worry about it. Let's figure out how we can use it to help us, how we can use it to our advantage. And I'm not saying we've mastered that, but because we haven't, but we are certainly trying. Um, you
Smart.
know,
Smart.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I would say that's the biggest challenge today. It's been technology, and it continues to be technology. But it is specifically in, 2025, it is specifically AI in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Well, yeah, I think, and that was going to be my next question is, some of the trends that you're seeing, and yeah, exactly right. It's the businesses, that they file everything manually with paper, that worked out and that was the way for a long time. But then
Oh yeah.
when you can now file it, store it, sort it on a computer and look it up instantly, and it's all there and it's saved, as long as the hard drive, everything stays good. But it's like, it's the transition of, old way versus new way, and those businesses that adapted, got rid of the paper to then going all
Yeah, that's
digital.
right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, 25 years ago, there were probably some really, really successful companies that manufactured typewriters. And
Yeah.
and and they, yeah, they either adapted or they didn't. I mean, just like the companies that made, landline telephones. I mean, they either adapted or they didn't. I mean, and that's just the way of business. And I don't mean to sound callous about it at all, because I mean, that's it's the kind of thing that can bite anybody. But I think when you are a leader in an organization, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to try to stay ahead of the curve, because
Hmm.
technology is not going to stop. Competition is not going to stop. Things are not going to, they're going to constantly be changing. They're going to constantly be evolving. They're going to constantly be improving. So you have to do everything you can to stay in front of it. Now, I will say this, for those of us who are in the talent space, all of us who are recruiters, I am firmly convinced that talent will continue to be the number one driver of successful organizations in the world. I mean, I'm a firm believer that every organization is only as good as the talent of its people. I'm absolutely, even no matter how much automation takes, no matter how much it does, no matter how much it changes things, you still have to have people who understand the technology that's creating the automation. You still have to have people who understand how to use it. You still have to have the talent in your team that can utilize all the changes in the technology for the betterment of the business. So, I do think the talent space is a really good place to be. It's just a question of, okay, is the talent that we're looking for in 3 years, is it the same as the talent that we're looking for today
Mm,
or last year? A lot of that's going to be industry specific, of course, but it's like I said, people who are good at making, typewriters 25 years ago were probably in high demand. If they didn't change their skills, then they're probably not in high demand. But nevertheless, companies need talent. Organizations need talent. That is not going to change. I don't
mm.
think. It's
Agree.
just going to look, this the type of talent that they need is what's going to change.
Exactly. Exactly right. Well said. Agreed. Well, tell us, how do we get in touch with you?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. A couple of ways. One, I do have my own website that was mainly designed so that people could buy the book if they want it, and it's just richardbrock.com. And there's a link there that'll take you straight to Amazon for anybody who's interested in buying the book. And then also through my company, which is OnBoard Legal, and then onboardlegal.com. Those are the two easiest ways to get in touch with me.
Perfect. Perfect. Richard, thank you so much for the time. I know,
Hey,
yeah, today's
Brandon,
busy.
Brandon, it's been a pleasure. Really, I've enjoyed talking to you, and your podcast and everything you have going on is really cool. I've looked at a lot of it, and you've got a lot of good stuff going.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. We try to bring the value for sure. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for the time, and for the wisdom for sure. You've seen quite a bit of things, and I think this is, listeners are going to get some great value out of this. But to recap, yeah, Richard Brock is the CEO of and founder of OnBoard Legal, and been in the recruiting space. Knows people over 20 years of experience, and the author of Win the Talent Game. And as he mentioned, where you can find it. So, Richard, thanks again for joining.
Brandon, thank you. It's been
Awesome.
great.
This is the Valuable Mind Podcast. Have a good day.